Hello everyone, welcome back to Bajirao IAS Academy. Today is 31st August 2024 Saturday, and today we have some important articles for the discussion, and one by one we'll try to discuss all these important articles in this session. And yesterday I have given one prelims practice question, and this practice question is with respect to the banking and finance. And as I have already told you that this was one of the previous year question that UPSC has asked in the year 2018. The question is, which of the following links all the ATMs in India? So the correct answer for this question is National Payments Corporation of India. Option C is the correct answer because National Payments Corporation of India links all ATMs in India. And you can see the explanation of it. So National Payments Corporation of India, which is also known as NPCI, it actually links all the ATMs across India through a national financial switch, or it is also called as NFS. This NFS is the largest network of shared ATMs in India, and in fact it was developed by Institute for Development and Research in Banking Technology in the year 2004 to make banking more and more convenient, right? So in terms of number of ATMs, SBI is in the top position, followed by HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank and Axis Bank in India. So if you want, you can also go through the data of number of ATMs in India. So today also we have another very important prelims practice question. The question is the phenomenon of increasing concentration of substance such as toxic chemicals in the tissues of tolerant organisms at successive higher levels in a food chain is known as which of the following phenomenon? Option A, bioaccumulation. Option B, bioprospecting. Option C, biomagnification. And option D, bioremediation. So this is also a very easy question because previously we have discussed this in so many classes, and this is a very important from the environment and ecology section point of view, and it is also one of the cause of concern with respect to pollution. So try to answer this question in the comment section. So we'll start this discussion with the first important article, that is about Project Naman. So in this article we will understand what is this Project Naman. So there is a probability of such questions are being asked in a very simple manner in your UPSC prelims examination. The context is that recently Indian Army has launched a first phase of Project Naman, right? So Indian Army has launched the first phase of Project Naman in the presence of General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of Army Staff, along with Ms. Sunita Dwivedi, President, Army Wives Welfare Association. So we will understand what is this Project Naman. And in fact, Project Naman is designed to provide dedicated support and services to the defense pensioners, veterans and their families. So we all knew that the individuals who served in armed forces would get a pension and their family would also get the pension, right? So it is also known as next of kin of the individual who already served in army. So therefore Project Naman is designed to provide dedicated support and services to the defense pensioners, veterans who already retired and their families. And in fact, Project Naman centered around implementation of the SPARSH program. SPARSH essentially means a system for pension administration Raksha, and therefore Project Naman essentially centered around the SPARSH, or which is also known as System for Pension Administration Raksha, and digital pension system, which actually streamlines pension related processes for the defense pensioners, and it also plays a very important role in addressing the critical need or an important need for accessible facilitation points for the veterans and even defense pensioners and next of kin across the country. However, the project SPARSH involves establishment of a reception and also a facilitation centers, and it will be enabled through a collaboration or a tripartite memorandum of understanding between the Indian Army's Directorate of Indian Army Veterans Common Service Center, and e-Governance India Limited, and also HDFC Bank Limited. So they have signed this tripartite memorandum of understanding in the year 2023 September. So these common service centers are dedicated to army veterans, army pensioners, war widows, and next of kin, offering dispersed enabled pension services, government to citizen, which is also known as G2C, and government to citizen services, and business to consumer services, which is also known as B2C, at all single convenient location. Okay, so at a single convenient location. However, the first phase of this project Naman, so there will be 14 common service centers will have they will be established at a key locations across India, across various cities. And apart from that, this initiative not only delivers essential care and support to the esteemed veterans, but it also extends service to the entire resident population of the military stations and even surrounding localities as well. However, for these common service centers, through which the project Naman will be implemented, and the project Naman will essentially provide services to the pensioners and also next of kin and even retired individuals. So it will be managed through village level entrepreneurs, and these village level entrepreneurs will also be selected from among the veterans of next of kin, among the veterans or next of kin by the respective local military authorities. However, these village level entrepreneurs are onboarded by the common service centers of e-Governance India Limited, and they also receive a comprehensive training to deliver the required services on timely manner. So this essentially very important, because it facilitates and it also provide services and doorstep delivery of services to the pensioners, veterans, and next of kin of the armed forces personnel. So therefore you have to remember project Naman and why it is being launched. And next important article is about India Malaysia relations, and India Malaysia have signed the memorandum of understanding for strengthening cooperation in the field of tourism. Remember, so Malaysia is part of Southeast Asia, right? So it is a Southeast Asian country. Both India and Malaysia are connected together by culture and heritage. Culture and heritage are the two factors which connects India and Malaysia together, and in this context we should not forget the role of tourism or the potential of tourism between these two countries. And India has launched Act East policy, right? So Prime Minister Narendra Modi's NDA government launched Act East policy, and under this Act East policy, India wanted to improve connectivity, commerce, trade with most of the Southeast Asian countries, and India's Act East policy, tourism is one of the key aspect or one of the focus areas. However, both India and Malaysia signing a memorandum of understanding in the field of tourism certainly will tap the potential of tourism in both these countries. And we'll understand the context. The context is that recently Malaysian Prime Minister visited India, right? So India and Malaysia have a very close political, economic, and even socio-cultural relations. This is the fact, right? So there is no doubt about that. We have a very close political, economic, and socio-cultural relations. However, so we wanted to further strengthen these relations with Malaysia. So therefore, in order to further strengthen the relationship, in order to further build on the existing relationship, India and Malaysia have signed a memorandum of understanding, which is also known as MOU, between Ministry of Tourism and Government of Republic of India and the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Government of Malaysia, for strengthening cooperation in the field of tourism. So in the year 2022, over 2.5 lakh Malaysian tourists visited India. So therefore you can imagine that this particular memorandum of understanding will further enhance tourist footfall to India from Malaysia. Okay, so you can also see certain data with respect to India's tourism, and in fact tourism sector has been contributing to around 6.23 percentage of India's total GDP, and it has resulted in 5 million foreign tourist arrivals and 562 million domestic tourism visits that have been taken place every annum. And in fact tourism has generated around 100 billion in the year 2008. So now it has increased manifold. However, due to COVID-19 pandemic, tourism was the worst hit sector, but now we are recovering at a faster pace from the COVID-19 pandemic, and tourism has a lot of potential to look into and a lot of potential to further improve upon. So India is 6th largest country in terms of price competitiveness and 39th in terms of safety and security. However, we still lag behind in terms of safety and security, and there is a need to further improve safety and security for the tourists to attract more tourists from other countries. Okay, so what are the main objectives of India Malaysia this particular memorandum of understanding on strengthening tourism cooperation? So it will promote and even marketing of tourism products and services will be part of this memorandum of understanding, and it will also lead to the expansion of field of tourism research, training and even development, including exchange programs. So of course it is true that whenever we have a memorandum of understanding with any country in the field of tourism, it is very, very important that we need to expand tourism research. Training is very important, development, and that also includes exchange programs as well. So apart from that, there is a need to make a substantial investments in the field of improving tourism infrastructure, providing new facilities for the tourists, and also products and services. This is also a very important dimension to be focused upon. And exchanging information in the field of medical tourism is a very, very important, because India is known as a hub of medical tourism, and a number of medical tourists who actually visit India every year has been increasing, particularly from Southeast Asian countries, African countries. So the reason for increased tourist footfall or increased medical tourism arrivals into India is specifically because of affordable healthcare and even quality healthcare, which the people from other countries are not getting anywhere in the world. So because of the affordable and quality healthcare, and most of the people have been looking towards India for their healthcare requirements or healthcare needs. So exchanging information in the field of medical tourism and even encouraging stakeholders to promote the product is also very important. And so one of the objective of this memorandum of understanding is to encourage business tourism, and this business tourism will include meetings, incentives, conferences and even exhibitions also, which is known as MICE. And it will also promote cooperation between tourism stakeholders, tour operators and even travel agents as well. Promotion and development of community based tourism and ecotourism and even responsible tourism are the certain areas that India and Malaysia will actually focus upon as a part of strengthening its tourist potential of both countries. So we need to talk about the cultural cooperation between India and Malaysia. So in terms of cultural cooperation, Indian Cultural Center at Kuala Lumpur, it was established in the year 2010 and it was later renamed as Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Indian Cultural Center. And in fact, Kuala Lumpur Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Indian Cultural Center offers classes in Carnatic vocal music, Kathak dance, yoga, Hindi, with teachers from both India and Malaysia. So this will strengthen cultural ties between India and Malaysia, and it will also further improve people to people relations. People to people relations are very important for any country in terms of sustainable development of relations in the longer term. And apart from that, a common connecting link between India and Malaysia is Ramayana, and Ramayana has actually transcended its origins in India, and Ramayana has also been influencing cultures across Southeast Asia, including countries like Malaysia and even to a larger extent Thailand and Indonesia as well. And there are versions like Hikayat Seri Rama or Malay literary adaptation of Hindu Ramayana epic, and that has reflecting the local adaptations of Ramayana. And Ramayana is a cultural connecting link between India and Malaysia and several other Southeast Asian countries. The epics themes are reflected in local stories and arts performances, and it has been showcasing the shared cultural heritage between India and Malaysia. And apart from that, economic and commercial relations between these two countries have also been increasing in recent times. Malaysia is India's 13th largest trading partner, so this is a very important thing that we need to remember. So when we talk about Malaysia, we specifically import palm oil from Malaysia. So Malaysia, in fact, one of the largest supplier of palm oil to India. So therefore, in this context, Malaysia is India's 13th largest trading partner, and India ranks among Malaysia's top 10 trading partners, also being the third largest trade partner within the Asian region. Remember, when we talk about Association of Southeast Asian Nations, within the Asian nations, Malaysia is the third largest trade partner for India. Okay, so that is the importance, the commerce and trade relations between India and Malaysia. And so exports from India to Malaysia specifically includes mineral fuels, aluminium, meat, iron, steel, copper, organic chemicals and machinery. So these are the major exports from India to Malaysia. And India, as I have already told you, that imports from Malaysia to India include palm oil, mineral fuels, electrical machinery, animal vegetable fats and even wood as well, right? So these are exports and imports from India to Malaysia and Malaysia to India, but palm oil is one of the most important commodity from Malaysia to India. And there are number of other areas also. In those areas we have extended multilateral cooperation. Malaysia appreciated India's support for Association of Southeast Asian Nations centrality in the Indo-Pacific region, and even the upcoming Asian chairmanship in the year 2025. In the year 2025, Malaysia is going to chair the Asian chairmanship, and both India and Malaysia have also agreed to strengthen engagements through Asian-led mechanisms, and India will also work with Malaysia on its request to join BRICS. Now remember, BRICS is one of the most influential global groupings, and India is a founding member of the BRICS grouping. And in recent times, BRICS grouping has expanded to include other countries such as UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia. But in recent times, Malaysia has also been expressing its interest to be part of this multilateral grouping because of its increasing stature at the global level. So India can actually play a very important role by supporting Malaysia's candidature to the BRICS. And sustainable development and climate action is another area where India and Malaysia would work together, because sustainable energy initiatives, because both these countries have been facing a lot of problems in terms of climate change, increasing sea levels and also raising vulnerability to various disasters. So in this context, they focused on resilience and adaptation and mitigation. Adaptation and mitigation are the key areas that both India and Malaysia will focus on. So in order to achieve resilience along with adaptation and mitigation, both India and Malaysia will focus on sustainable energy initiatives, and climate change mitigation, with Malaysia joining the international Big Cat Alliance for the protection and conservation of big cat across the worldwide. And next very important article is about recent India's second nuclear submarine which is commissioned, that is INS Arigat. So we will understand what is the importance of the recent induction of India's second nuclear submarine, which is INS Arigat. Okay, so Arigat. And in fact we also have first nuclear submarine INS Arihant and Arigat. So these are nuclear powered submarines. So with the help of nuclear powered submarines, India has actually emerged as a country with the capability of a nuclear triad. Okay, so nuclear triad. Now when I say nuclear triad essentially means the capability of any country to launch nuclear missiles from land, air and sea, right? So that is known as nuclear triad, and India has achieved the capability to become a nuclear triad. And in fact India has also joined an elite club of nations which have the nuclear triad capability, such as US, Russia, China, France, right? So fifth, India. So India also has this nuclear triad, and we will understand what is the importance of this INS Arigat as nuclear submarine. So India's second nuclear submarine, its name is INS Arigat. So it was commissioned into the Indian Navy on Thursday at Visakhapatnam, right? So it was commissioned, it was inducted into the Indian Navy on Thursday in Visakhapatnam. However, so on this commissioning ceremony of INS Arigat, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh specifically said that he said that in the commissioning ceremony, Arihant class submarine will further strengthen India's nuclear triad. So nuclear triad, I have already explained that, you know, the capability and the ability of country to launch nuclear missiles from air, land and sea is known as nuclear triad. So therefore Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held that so INS Arihant class submarines will further strengthen India's nuclear triad, and it will also enhance nuclear deterrence. So nuclear deterrence means that other countries will actually fear India's capabilities and India's retaliatory strikes, and that would refrain those countries from launching a nuclear attack on India. So it will enhance nuclear deterrence, and it will also help in establishing the strategic balance and peace in the region. And apart from that, this also play a decisive role in the security of the country. So this is what Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has held during the commissioning ceremony of INS Arigat. So we'll look into some basic details of INS Arigat. So INS Arigat is a 6,000 ton INS Arigat will join its predecessor. So before INS Arigat we have INS Arihant. So INS Arihant is the predecessor of INS Arigat. Both INS Arihant and INS Arigat were nuclear submarines, and in fact they are a very important component of India's nuclear triad. And in fact the nuclear triad essentially refers to the country's ability to launch nuclear missiles from the platforms in the air, land and at sea. And in fact, so India is also part of a select group of countries which actually have the nuclear triad capabilities, because remember that when we have the nuclear submarines INS Arigat and INS Arihant, so that makes India to become part of the select group of countries so which already have this nuclear triad capabilities, and that includes United States, Russia, China and France. The introduction of this INS Arihant way back in the year 2016 into the Indian Navy provided India with the maritime strike capability for the first time. So for the first time, with the introduction of INS Arihant, so India has actually achieved this nuclear triad, and the commissioning of INS Arigat will further enhance India's or Navy's nuclear strike capability as well. And in India, the nuclear capable Agni 2 missile, Agni 4 missile and Agni 5 missiles, so all these missiles are nuclear capable missiles, and these missiles can be launched from land and fighter aircraft and fighter aircrafts of the Indian Air Force. Particularly, the Rafale fighter jets can be used to launch nuclear missiles, and even Sukhoi 30 MKI Russian fighter jets can also be used, and even Mirage 2000s can also be used to launch nuclear attacks, or they can also deliver nuclear warheads. And similarly, we can also use INS Arihant and INS Arigat to launch nuclear warheads into the enemy territory. In fact, both INS Arihant and INS Arigat are nuclear propelled submarines, and they will be armed with indigenously built K-15 missiles, and the range of these K-15 missiles would be around 700 kilometers. And like INS Arihant, Arigat is also powered by 83 megawatt pressurized light water nuclear reactors. So pressurized light water nuclear reactors will provide power to INS Arihant and INS Arigat, and that makes both INS Arihant and INS Arigat remain submerged and undetected for a much longer than the conventional diesel electric submarines. Okay, so when we talk about the conventional diesel electric submarines that India as of now have been operating, so these conventional diesel electric submarines can be detected, and they cannot be submerged underwater for a very long time. But it is not the case with both INS Arihant and INS Arigat, because they are powered by nuclear reactors, small nuclear reactors, and therefore they can be submerged underwater for longer periods of time, and they can also be undetected by the enemy vessels. Hence, the second strike capability would be much more higher, and that would also further significantly enhance the nuclear deterrence as well. So India has a nuclear policy called no first use nuclear policy, and India under this policy committed using nuclear weapons only for deterrence and retaliation. In no means India will use nuclear weapons at the first instance. For example, imagine if there is a conflict between India and Pakistan or India and China, India will never use nuclear weapons in first instance. Rather, India will use nuclear weapons just to retaliate a nuclear attack on India. Right, so that is the essence of India's no first use policy. We will only use nuclear weapons as a deterrence and only for retaliation. And in this context, the nuclear capable both INS Arihant and INS Arigat will further enhance India's second strike capability, and it will also create a deterrence effect, and it also strengthens India's retaliatory capabilities. In fact, with its ability to survive a nuclear attack, because both INS Arihant and INS Arigat can actually survive a nuclear attack on India, and once it survived a nuclear attack by an enemy state, then they immediately launch a retaliatory strike. A nuclear submarine can actually act as a very strong deterrent. So that means any adversary or any enemy country, before launching a nuclear attack on India, they would think twice, or they would think more before launching a nuclear attack, because India has a retaliatory strike capability with its nuclear armed submarines, and India has also achieved this nuclear triad as well. And India's nuclear powered submarine project, first initiated more than 3 decades ago involving private firms and defense research and development organization and even Russia as well. So therefore it is a multi-stakeholder collaboration to develop nuclear powered submarines in India. However, INS Arihant was launched way back in the year 2009 and it was commissioned into Navy in the year 2016 as its first nuclear powered submarine, right? So it was the first nuclear powered submarine. Apart from that, Indian Navy as of now has 16 conventional submarines in service, and out of 16 conventional submarines or diesel powered submarines, 7 submarines are Kilo class submarines or Sindhu Ghosh class submarines, and 4 are Shishumar class submarines, and 5 are French Scorpion Calvary class attack submarines. So these 7 Kilo or Sindhu Ghosh submarines we have procured from the USSR and Russia, and Shishumar class submarines were manufactured in India and even Germany also, and there are 5 French Scorpion Calvary class attack submarines. So these are India's conventional submarine fleet. So the Calvary class submarines were built at India's Majgaon dock in partnership with France Naval Group, and in fact the first of these submarines was INS Calvary that was commissioned in the year 2017, followed by several other vessels which were developed at Majgaon Dock Limited. So to carry out its full spectrum of operations, the Navy is authorized to have 18 submarines. So Navy would have 18 submarines to carry out a full spectrum of its operations across different parts of the Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, a milestone that has been achieved with the commissioning of INS Arigat. So the other challenge with respect to India's submarine fleet that we need to understand is, however, at any time around 30% of the submarine fleet is under regular refit, repair and renovation, so which actually brings down the strength of the operational submarines within the Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea and beyond. However, so since India has 2 nuclear powered submarines, INS Arihant and INS Arigat, so these 2 nuclear weapon submarines can be deployed in the Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea as a deterrent against potential adversaries such as Pakistan and China. Both are nuclear armed states, and at the same time there is also a probability and possibility of a 2-front war. So therefore India should be ready and India should be prepared for any eventuality that could arise in future. And the next important article is about Union government has launched a scheme called Drone Didi. So Drone Didi is the scheme that was launched by the Union government, and it is in fact a central sector scheme launched by the Union government. So under this scheme, self-help group women will be identified and they will be provided with drones, and these drones will have a significant and very important applications in the agriculture sector. And Drone Didi program is a very important component of making women self-reliant, financially independent, and also making women Lakpati Didi, right? So they will be made Lakpati. So in Punjab, 93 out of 100 drones, they were made available to the farmers by the Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative, right? So this Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative has been providing drones to women, and it has also been providing training to the self-help group women in collaboration with the government, so that the self-help group women can actually operate these drones in agriculture activities, right? So in Punjab, 93 out of 100 drones were made available to the farmers by the Indian Fertilizer Cooperative under Centre's Namo Drone Didi scheme, so which is already in operational. And in fact, each drone costs around 16 lakh rupees, and they also equipped with 12-liter water tanks as well. So therefore they could actually spray fertilizer, pesticide more effectively, and in fact it would also reduce the cost, the input cost on the part of the farmers, especially the large scale farmers, right? So it is time saving, cost saving, and it is also promotion of an innovative method into Indian agriculture, and that would substantially increases the yield and even the productivity of the Indian agriculture. So however, experts have been suggesting that these drones which were given to the self-help group women under this drone Didi program may actually revolutionize pesticide and fertilizer application in agriculture intensive states like Punjab. So in fact, so in Punjab, fertilizer and pesticide application is traditionally been carried out manually, right? So most of the time fertilizer and pesticide application in agriculture fields, in not just in Punjab but across the country, which was carried out mostly through manually, either by hired laborers or even farmers themselves. Rather, so using drones would have a number of benefits, so we will discuss all those benefits. So first and foremost, it is cost effective in nature, right? So apart from being cost effective, it is time saving, because manually applying fertilizer and pesticides would actually time consuming. It takes a lot of time, and it improves agriculture yield or crop yield, agriculture yield and crop yield, and it would also reduces air pollution, water pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and even soil pollution as well. Improves farmer health and consumer health, because whenever farmers have been spraying pesticides, so that would result in impact on the part of the farmer, and even consumer health will also gets impacted because of disproportionate spraying of these pesticides on agriculture fields. And this drone Didi program will also empower a self-help group women, making them financially self-reliant and sustainable in the longer periods of time. So there are number of benefits, so we will understand that. So first benefit is it protect farmers from the pesticides, right? So manual application of the pesticides is without a doubt labor intensive, and apart from labor intensive, it is also time consuming, so therefore it will increase input costs on the part of the farmers. So farmers have to bear a lot of input costs, so if they manually spray the fertilizers, and it can all even take several hours to cover an acre of land, but when we use drones to spray fertilizer and pesticide, the task can be completed within 5 to 7 minutes, right? So in fact, to cover 1 acre of land it takes hours, but with drones we could actually cover 1 acre of land in just 5 to 7 minutes. So by this particular thing also, farmers can actually avoid a close contact with the harmful pesticides, which affects their health as well. And in fact, a close and prolonged contact with the pesticides will also causes harmful effect on the farmer's health as well, because chemical fertilizer and pesticides will not just impact the health of the soil and other natural resources, rather it also impacts the health of the farmer and even consumers as well. However, the best example is that Punjab is an area where extensive and intensive agriculture is being practiced, and due to the intensive nature of agriculture, farmers very often uses higher amounts of fertilizer and pesticides without a proper safety gear, and it also leads to the rapid depletion of the natural resources, since farmers highly comes in contact with these fertilizer and pesticides, so that is results in diseases such as cancer cases have been increasing, and in fact Punjab is known as cancer capital of India, and there are kidney ailments among the farmers who comes in contact with fertilizer and pesticides more often, and immunological disorders, Parkinson diseases, and even infertility, right? So as a result of wanton pesticide application or farmers coming in contact with these fertilizers and pesticides. So therefore using drones for spraying fertilizer and pesticides will actually substantially improve the health of the farmers. By taking pesticide application out of farmers' hands, drones can thus protect farmers' health in a much more effective and efficient manner. And drones can be used for more efficient application of both fertilizer and pesticides as well, right? So when farmers have been manually spraying this fertilizer and pesticide, so that often leaves some parts of the crop which are not properly treated, and that could adversely affect the yield of the crop as well, right? So for example, crop is under pest attack, crop is attacked by the insects, and farmers sprayed pesticides and insecticides, but manual spraying of this pesticides and insecticides will not cover the entire crop. So therefore it will lead to the re-emergence of insect attack and pest attack despite farmer purchasing the insecticides and pesticides. So farmer is actually failed to prevent the re-emergence of this diseases. However, so with the help of these drones, so we could actually spray fertilizer and pesticides appropriately all over the plant part, right? So in contrast, drone based applications are more uniform as well. So moreover, drones actually address the challenge of applying nano fertilizer such as nano urea and even nano DAP as well. So in order to reduce the contamination, the nitrogen contamination of the soil, and even water pollution, and even reduce the excessive use of nitrogen and nitrogen based fertilizer, the union government has come up with nano fertilizer, right? So nano fertilizer such as nano urea and nano DAP, so they need to be used in a very small quantities, and these drones can be much more effective in spraying this nano fertilizers. So uniform manual application of these nano fertilizers can be challenging, preventing their widespread use even though they are more cost efficient in nature. However, these nano fertilizers are also environmental friendly, and in fact drones can also be used for capturing a detailed real-time images of the fields, and monitoring the crop health through the drone can also be undertaken. So therefore farmers can actually monitor the crop health, and they can also make prompt interventions if needed. So this is especially important in the case of epidemics. For instance, in recent years the pink bollworm has ravaged cotton crops in Punjab or across major parts of Punjab. So that can be monitored at a much early stage, and appropriate measures can also be undertaken. So there are certain environmental benefits as well, so we will try to understand those environmental benefits. And drones can be environmentally beneficial in several ways, right? So particularly, first, up to 90% of the nutrients in nano fertilizers can be applied through drones, and they can be absorbed by the plants. So if you apply nano fertilizer, nano urea and nano DAP into the crops, 90% of the fertilized urea or the fertilizer can be absorbed by the plants. So therefore that could reduce the risk of runoff, and even minimizing air, water and soil pollution as well. So however, in contrast to that, the traditional application methods can actually lead up to 60% nutrients being lost to the air as well. Secondly, a leaf based application, unlike a soil based application of traditional urea, DAP fertilizers are significantly better when it comes to the soil pollution. And apart from that, in Punjab, where fertilizer usage is already the highest in the country, So this particular reduction in soil pollution is beneficial for soil health, and over time the health of the crops and even consumers will also significantly gets benefited. So these are the environmental benefits and benefits to farmer health, the consumer health, and also improving the crop health, and even the reducing the input cost as well with the use of this drones in the agriculture sector, right? So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. So if you like our work, so please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. Thank you.